Let's do me checks. Well, hello, welcome to the MACKEM, CABBIE, Davey and Richy show, which I have renamed it now.
I've noticed.
Aye.
How are you doing?
I am not too bad, mate, not too bad. Just getting the camera settings all sorted out. That's it, that should sort it out. Just bear with us a second. We're all live, I think. Oh, dear me. Hey, let's go. So how you been?
Good, mate. Just the same old, you know. A bit of work. Just had a day off today, like, so I'll get my stuff sorted today. You know, catching up on a few stuff, the ball and stuff. But apart from that, mate, really good. How's yourself?
Yeah. Really, really good. It's just been flat out. I've got
Watched some of the Champions League the other night. I watched the PSG and Liverpool game.
Oh, did you?
It was it was a cracking match. That honestly, I've never, to be honest. I know PSG have been a powerhouse in Europe, but they haven't won the Champions League for God knows how many years now. And I tell you something, the way they played against Liverpool the other night, it was just unbelievable. Considering Liverpool, we all know how good they are. They took them apart.
Ah, you know that.
It's really interesting.
Absolutely, it was good to see.
Shows they're not missing Mbappe in it.
Ah, I know. David Walker's just popped in, says hi lads. Richard Stedman's just popped in, says evening lads and lasses. So then, I'm just checking that. Yeah, my speed test's absolutely fine. I'm just going to do a quick speed test because I didn't realise I was downloading there. I've got super fast broadband and it still struggles. Can you believe that? Oh dear me, I don't know. Sometimes it's best to just plug us straight into the mains, but hopefully everybody can hear us okay. Now that's the main thing. Just shut that down. Right, Pixel Rich has just popped in, says evening lads. You get shot off Pavida, too many broken eyelashes for me. I tell you what, we'll start with Pavida. Like, I mean, that's really annoyed me. That he is just completely taking the Michael out of Sunderland. Like, and I know he's got contracts and stuff, and he's got like how many years onto it and stuff, but Richy needs gone. He needs gone because I mean that's an insult to the fans, the players, the rest of the squad. He clearly doesn't want to be here. I don't care what anybody said. There's nobody should get injured as much as what that lad does. I'm sorry, like I mean, he just doesn't play, and yet he just magically appears and he gets a knock from somewhere. I just think someone need to get the Bulls by the horns and say, right, get rid. I mean, it's all right saying you sign a contract for 3 years or whatever, but surely there's got to be a clause in it, like you've actually got to bloody play. What do you think on it, Rich? What do you think about the Pavida carry-on? Another Rodwell, isn't
it? Yeah, I was just about to say that hopefully it's not going to get that situation again because, you know, we've got to have learned our lessons by now. Honestly, we have. Pavida, I mean, I was looking back today on the Sunderland Facebook page. I went back to when he first signed, and obviously everyone was buzzing. Oh, you know, he looks great for the club. He brings this bit extra, whatever. There was a few Leeds fans on there saying, "Don't get yourself too excited about this lad, mind." You know, there's a couple of other comments saying, you know, we're getting rid of him for a reason. You know, something along those lines. I thought that's a bit interesting, that. But what's he done since he's been here? I mean, I heard on the radio the other night, somebody was saying that he's one of the highest paid players at the club. And what's he done? He's done absolutely nothing for it, apart from be on the sick bench. You know what I mean? He's come back Even when he does come on the pitch, I mean, what's he done? There was that incident, obviously, when I think Davey mentioned it a little while ago when he fell over the ball. You know what I mean? He's nah. We don't need him at the club. We don't need any player like that at the club. Whether if you're the star player, if you're the top youth graduate, whatever it is, if you're behaving like this at a football club, out the door. Because if we don't, we're just going to be looked at as a soft club. We'll sign anybody, and you know what I mean. Players will come here and they'll just take the mick, and they know they can do that. It's just not. It's not a good image for the club, and it's certainly not a good image for recruitment either, because they've got to take a hard look at themselves and think, well, why have we signed this kid then? He's come from Leeds, you know what I mean. You would imagine he's quality, and I bet he has got that quality, but like you say, we can't have that, mate.
The Leeds fans have been messaging the page, I mean YouTube page, and been saying, "I told you so." Basically, I told you so. Even some Sheffield Wednesday fans have said the same thing as well. It's he hasn't got a knock. He hasn't got. He just does not want to be here. He just doesn't want to play for the club. He's either had a massive fallout with Regis Labrie. I mean, even Regis Labrie said something along the lines of like he's had enough. I don't know if you listened to Total Sport. I don't know if you managed to get listening to it or not, but Regis Labrie, he's not happy. Like, he's not happy with him at all. Like, I mean, he was late for the coach or something once. He got summoned for that. You know, he's trying to seriously get on with a job, Regis Labrie, get his squad together, and this guy's just mucking about. It's like every time there's a training session, he gets a knock and he's injured. You know, if you didn't want to be here, you know, do the decent thing and rip your contract up yourself. And don't let Sunderland pay out your contract. If you didn't want to be playing here, if you're not happy, go. We're not going to stop you. Do you know what I mean? Go and play somewhere else where you're going to be happy. Because he's been a square peg in a round hole in Sunderland, Richard. He's never been a fan's favourite. He's never warmed to the fans. The fans have never warmed to him. When he's came on, he's not impressed. I don't think he's played a full 90 minutes yet. And I don't think he's that much of a quality player either. So he's another one that we just need him off the books.
He's League One at best, really, I think. You know what I mean? You'll do well in League One. He's not Championship quality. Well, he certainly hasn't showed it when he's played for.
Jim N says, hang on, Cabbie, have you forgotten about Neil Huggins? No, Jim. Well, I mean, I do this feature every night. I do like the Sunderland AFC Daily News, where I just do like a 5-minute clip it. Because every single day, at the end of the day, there's always something going on at the club, behind the scenes or roundabout. So I do a report of that every single day. And yeah, there's been nothing mentioned on Neil Huggins, Jim. Peter Lisbriel says, evening, guys. Evening to you. Richie Renwick says, evening, Ollie. He says, Pavida is like a wet Weetabix. He certainly is. Steve Taylor. Hello, Steve Taylor. He says, yeah, I'm afraid he needs to be gone. He says, I know he's not in the squad very often, but he still takes up a place of one of our youngsters. You're right there, Steve. Oh, by the way, Stevie, and everybody's running, I got in contact with Big Davey. He's back on Monday. He's back on Monday. He's got his broadband. I think he's just getting settled and stuff. So Davey will be back with us on Monday, which is good to see. Sure we've all missed him. Colin Major, hello Colin, how you doing, mate? He says, Pavida, we were warned, and we certainly were warned. I mean, the thing is, though, somebody somewhere is not listening. So in theory, that's 4 injured players we've signed in these transfer windows, because I don't care what anybody says, we've signed an injured player in Pavida, because he's just never available, is he? Jim N says, all of this was going months about Samed getting injured off the plane, etc. Jack Rodwell is available, said Susie. Leeds signed Patrick Bamford, so they can't talk. What do you think's happened with Pavida, Richie? Though, why do you think he's like? You know, we're inquiring about him to come here. He had the chance to say yes and no. I'm just trying to think what his method of his madness is. What's he wanting to come here for? What's his purpose? Do you think he's had a fallout with a manager or something?
I don't know, because you know what I mean. There's been problems at previous clubs, so he's maybe just this type of player who come and show what he's about. But obviously, when he gets his foot in the door, obviously things start to change. It's just annoying because he's on a. I'm not sure how much he is, but I've heard that he's on a decent contract.
Yeah,
We could be using that money. You know what I mean? We could be putting that towards a striker that we need. You know what I mean?
Well, I put a poll up on my YouTube channel. It says, Ian Poveda is injured again. Is it time to get rid? 317 people voted, and 92% said absolutely yes. Total waste of space. That's a landslide. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's a landslide. So, Colin Major says Poveda has just signed for St Anne's Junior School, but he's injured due to the egg and spoon race earlier today. You're right now, Colin. Harry, SAFC, hello Harry. He says, for the money, Poveda, for the money. Oh my God. There's got to be something to protect these clubs. You know, I know when you sign a 3-year contract, but there's got to be some sort of clause in it. There's got to be something like, you know, yeah, you got your 3-year contract, but you've got to play. You know, you can't just sign a contract and then just be on the bench all the time and just pull sickies and stuff. You know, everything has small print, like a warranty on a motor car. It's like if you don't put the right oil in, it voids your warranty. If you go over your service, it voids your warranty. Surely, Poveda, he's got to play football and he's not. You would think. But me personally, I don't think you'll see Poveda playing for us for Sunderland again this season, or in fact in the future. I really didn't, and that's the last thing we need, because we want to be focused going into the playoffs. We want to have good team spirit. We didn't need this. We simply didn't need this. So we've wrapped it up with Poveda then. So. Oh dear me, a rare Saturday 3 o'clock kickoff against Cardiff. Let's just hope it's not going to be another repeat of the Hull City game.
Aye. No, I think we'll beat them tomorrow. Honestly, I think we will tomorrow. Then we'll maybe go on this little run that we need. But I can't see anything in Cardiff. I just cannot. It'll just be interesting, I think, as well, how he's going to line up tomorrow. Because obviously we've had all this rumours this week about people wanting a 4-4-2, and I agree with it. Yeah, we should, but I'm sorry to say, but he's not going to play the 4-4-2 from the start, because he won't leave that extra midfielder out. So it'll be interesting to see how he does line up tomorrow.
Well, I've heard Mienda's going to be benched. Which is that a good decision because of the fact he scored 2 goals Sheffield Wednesday, and he's still not making the first team starting lineup? I think that's harsh on the lad.
Well, yeah, of course it is. You know what I mean? He's got 2 goals, and then the next game he's benched. But that's what happens. If Regis Labou's going to keep playing this 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, he's never going to pick Mienda over Isidore to play up top. It's just not going to happen. But maybe Mienda can turn into this impact sub that we might need. We've got nobody to come off that bench. Should be a massive impact on the game, really. I mean, yes, we'll have Watson back, but Mienda, he might be that player for it. It is a little bit tough. I mean, you know what I mean? You're looking back in the days as well. I mean, remember Man City, just for example, you have Edin Dzeko scoring 4 or 5 goals in one game, and then he gets benched for the next 2 matches. It's you know what I mean? It's a bit harsh, but it's just the way football is.
Yeah. David Walker just says Mienda is getting dropped for Isidore. According to Nick Barnes, he doesn't want to play them 2 up front, does he? Together, for some bizarre reason.
If he does, though, I mean, who do you leave out that midfield? We've got all the midfield back. Obviously, Luffy's injured, so we've got 4 midfielders to pick from. It's like, who do you leave out?
Some say it'd be Riggy, wouldn't it?
It would have to be.
Because he's burnt out, isn't he?
It's not that, he just won't be, when we need to come back playing a 4-4-2, I just don't think he's going to be effective. He's going to be effective going forward, but coming back, it's going to be a waste of time. We're going to need Job and Dan Neil in there, because they can both play that role. It's a tough decision. And I think, obviously, every fan is crying out for it, but I just can't see it happening, Cabby.
No. John 73 says, anybody tried asking Pavida what's his problem? I just think, as you said, Rich, we're going back to Pavida, I just think he's one of them type of players that just want to milk the system, play the system. Like the average Joe that's claiming for a bad back when there's no wrong with him. You just get these players that just want to milk the system dry. That's what they want. That's what they're doing. No intentions of playing football. He just wants to come to a big club, get big wage packet, and just keep on faking injuries and milk and dry. That's you just get these type of players. But I'm annoyed at Sunderland for. They should have dodged the bullet. They should have had warnings with that. Should have done the homework, and they haven't.
Like I said to you before, Cabby, it makes me look desperate. You know what I mean? It's like if we're having to sign players like this that are injured and unreliable and have got problems at their clubs, what sort of image does that give us as a club? We can't attract these players that we need to, really, and we're looking for these players that are. You know, can we take a chance on them? Can we get them better and then get them back in the field? It's just, it's down to recruitment, and it's just, hopefully, you know, this next summer window, depending whether we go up or stay in the Championship, it's got to be better.
Jim N says, has everyone forgotten Mienda started last game over Isidore? No, we certainly haven't forgot that, and that's why some will say, is it a bit strange that the fact he's being sort of dropped? He's on the bench, he's still featuring, but I just think he's looking at Isidore as his number one striker. He's not looking at Mienda as being his number one. He's looking at Isidore, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Without doubt, he's looking at he's the danger man. Tony Huntington, hello Tony. He says, who's had more minutes, Rodwell or Pavida? That's a good one to go for, isn't it?
I think Rodwell only had something like 120 odd minutes. He played like 2 or 3 full games, unless I'm mistaken. But I'm sure it was only something like that. And Pavida's maybe had 2 second half games at most. It's laughable, but come on, man, we've got to learn the lessons from this Jack Rodwell situation. I mean, it was plastered all over Netflix as well, you know what I mean?
Well, when you go looking for a second-hand car and somebody warns you, I wouldn't get that. Have you seen the oil dripping out of that? Oh, I wouldn't get that. Have you seen this, and have you seen how bad that is? You'd walk away from it, you'd avoid it. Hello, Jacob. Jacob's just turned up. You all right, mate?
Yeah, I'm just watching Norwich game. Oxford have just scored an equaliser.
Have they?
Yeah, 1-1.
How's it going, mate?
Yeah,
Married?
No, not bad, thanks you.
We're doing all right.
Good.
We're just talking about Pavida. Do you agree? It's time to get rid of him. He's completely taken the mick out of the club, Jacob. He's injured again, and he keeps getting injured, but he's not even playing.
It's a bit weird because was he like that at Sheffield Wednesday?
And Leeds.
Sheffield
Wednesday and Leeds. I'm getting Leeds fans messaging me saying we warned you about him, and Regis Labrie.
One to saying he was a lazy bastard, wasn't they?
Yeah.
Oh, he had like an attitude problem.
Absolutely.
If that's the case, then off you pop. We don't need you at our club.
That's exactly what's going on.
We put up with that attitude for too long under Ellis Shop with players like that, like Didier Endon, Jack Rodwell, just to name a few. It's just in football in general as well. You don't need that. Like, either play for the club, for the badge, or just piss off. Go if you want to play for the money, go to MLS or go to the Saudi leagues, or even maybe the Turkish leagues or Chinese league. Because we should not in England. We don't put up with that kind of attitude. It's not how we are. But hey ho.
It's not. I'm just annoyed the fact that we've had warnings upon warnings, Jacob, and we've still gone ahead. So in theory, that's 4 injured players we've signed this season. It's just not good enough on the recruitment side of things. It just isn't. I don't know if you heard. I think it was one of his press conferences or something, or some interview on Total Sport. Regis Labrie, he wasn't happy with Pavida. Like, he was sort of dropping hints. Sort of along the lines as if to say, like, if he's just not sorting himself out, he's not featuring anymore. Basically, politely getting Regis Labrie saying get stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm just sick of it. Like, I'm just sick of players doing it.
It's not on, is it? It's not acceptable.
Nah. Pixel Rich says Rig will play tomorrow. He says, I'm sure the same situation of overplaying Job Bellingham last season. Chris Golo says, I've had more minutes than what Pavida has. Jim N says, Rodwell was crap, but Catamol took us to the cleaners, and there were plenty of others did the same. Is Regis Labrie picking the first 11 though, or is Speakman interfering again? I mean, that still keeps raising its ugly head, doesn't it? Speakman getting involved. Because that's what happens when you're not a manager of a team. You don't have 100% say, do you? We'll never know that.
No, but you got to admit though, Speakman's brought in since he's been at Sunderland, he's brought in some good players.
Of course he has.
You know,
and we've praised him for that.
I think his first full season was actually our promotion season. So he brought in Pritchard. You know, he's brought in Amad Diallo. You know, to name a few. You know, he's brought in loads of good players. Bellingham. You know, so it's fine to criticise him, but we're on the way back now. It's just slowly. Jowsey and Steve mentioned it. You don't want to spend overload like Hull. Like, look what Hull City have done and Luton, and then go to Prem and then go straight back down. We want to do what Brentford have done and Brighton, not go too silly and try and stabilise in the Prem.
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
You never know. We might have to wait a while until the Prem. We might have to wait a few more seasons in the Championship, and then get promoted, which is a bit frustrating. I don't want to go up this season, but if that's what it takes to stabilise in the Prem, like doing a Brighton or Brentford, finishing 10th or 9th or 8th or wherever, I'd snap your hand off for that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I've said it a few times. The fact, like, would it be a disaster if Sunderland didn't go up to the Championship? We want to make sure we're doing sort of things right, and I know it's difficult because you're always going to be losing players if you haven't got promotion. I mean, LeFay will probably be gone, and a few more to say the least. So it's so difficult to keep trying to strengthen to get yourself over that line when your strong players keep leaving every season if you didn't get promoted. There's a few people say as well the fact, like, Brentford and Bournemouth, he says one of the only reasons they're probably still there is because of the location in the United Kingdom where they are. Would it be a completely different ball game if they were 5 miles outside of Middlesbrough or Newcastle? It's Jack messaged me the other day. He was saying, you know, it's just so much easier if you're near London or on the south coast. Not just for the player, but for the footballers' wives and families and things like that. It goes a long, long way being near the capital and down south. Whether you like it or not, it's unfortunately that is the truth, because people say, how are Brentford and Bournemouth, I think, with a 12,000 seat capacity stadium holding their own in the Premier League? But it's nothing to do with attendances. It's attracting the players. It's about marketing. They're getting money from all the TV deals and stuff. And the longer they're in that Premier League, the more money they're getting. But once again, location has a lot to do with it. Brighton, South Coast again, they're holding their own. You don't get many South clubs in the Premier League failing, really, do you? You know, or getting relegated. It's always the teams further up, isn't it? I mean, I know what the argument is with Southampton. People can say, well, what's the argument with Southampton? They're on the coast. But they're similar to what Sunderland did. I think they're really being badly run because they've had a season from hell, haven't they? And we've been there twice when we've been in the Premier League where you might as well scrub the season out. But, yeah, I do agree with Jacob what you're saying. It's like, would it be a bad thing? And how can it be a bad thing getting promoted to the Premier League is the argument. But could it be too early if Sunderland went up this season? Could we do a Luton, as you say?
Yeah, but possibly. But I think with Brentford before they got promoted to the Premier League, they were in the second division. Well, second division and Championship. For a long time, they'd not been in the first division since 1947.
How many
2 years after World War II? How
many seasons now has Bournemouth and Brentford been in the Premier League? I don't know if anybody can look that up or anybody can see on the chat.
Brentford got promoted in 2021. Bournemouth, I think it was same 2021 because Bournemouth got relegated in 2020 when they said
they went back up again. Didn't they?
We'll finish the season off, but with no fans. When Liverpool wouldn't let it, were then.
Yeah, it was COVID,
got
wasn't it?
Relegated, and then they went back up again. I think Bournemouth. So, but Crystal Palace have been in the Premier League since 2014 or 2013. Crystal Palace, they've been in it for a while now. So, but what we're doing at the minute is the same model as Brentford. The model what we've got is what Brentford are doing, and it's similar to Brighton as well. They're getting young and upcoming players and also selling players for a profit. So it does work.
The weird thing is, I was at Wembley when Carlisle played Brentford in the Johnson Paint Trophy final, and it was like, it's just mad to see where they are now. And when I was watching Carlisle beat them 1-0 at Wembley, it's just balmy.
So they were a League One. They were a League One club, weren't they, Brentford? But then after League One, they were in Championship for a very long time.
I tell you, who'll end up in the Premier League sooner rather than later. Wrexham, that's another club, because of the backing that they've got. You watch them start climbing up.
Under Phil Parkinson, Jesus Christ! Don't get me started on him.
I can guarantee
one of the worst Sunderland managers ever. He's
getting carried by the Hollywood, though, isn't he?
Yeah. I think that was one of the worst times to be a Sunderland fan under Phil Parkinson.
It was balmy, wasn't it? Richie Renrick says the club aren't willing to spend what's needed, so take all these injured players because they accept the poor contracts, as they need a club that's willing to take a risk on them. Jimen says, I can't see any way Regis Labrie would let Christian Speakman pick the team. Sounds like a load of bollocks. It's just rumours, innit? I mean, people will say...
surprised. Be surprised. It happens quite a lot in football.
Well, people said Dodds had too much of an influence, didn't they? But he's not doing anything wrong by going in and telling Regis Labrie what to pick, because Regis Labrie's only a coach.
That's the difference these days, isn't it? A lot of, the odd managers, they are basically doing a manager's job, but they're not getting to make the decisions, like on transfers, who's starting, who's not starting, and you know what I mean. Most of it as well, CABBIE, man, it's just down to money again, really. You know what I mean? But like, could you imagine though, like, if Labrie was in charge and then he's dropping players that shouldn't be dropped, and then obviously, Speakman's coming in and saying, well, no, we want to play it this way. And he's saying, well, I'm not playing him because of this reason, he's out of form or whatever. Do you not think that, you know what I mean, that will cause more issues in the background, wouldn't it? So it is easier if we just have somebody that's making these decisions. But like, it's just this thing these days, it's obviously changes in the game all the time. But like, I prefer this old school, he's the manager, he's the one in charge, he makes the decisions. You know what I mean? So it's, I don't know. I didn't like it personally. Like, I'll prefer just somebody to do it.
I know. I know there's legality times. He's not terms, he's not doing anything wrong because, like I say, Regis Labrie isn't the manager, and you don't know what's been said before Regis Labrie took on. You don't know if he's been told. Every now and again, I'll be, taking control of the team, and I'll be thinking, but you would hope that the likes of Regis Labrie. I mean, we don't know how much experience Christian Speakman's got of managing teams and this and that and the other. You surely, whether it's a coach or not, or a manager, Regis Labrie is going to have more experience than Christian Speakman, isn't it, of what to do. Yeah. It's a strange one. John Nesbitt's just popped into the channel. Hello, John, how you doing? MACKEM Pastor Alex, Uganda, has just popped in. How are you doing? He says, hi, all, how you doing, Pastor? Or as Davey says, Pastor, how you doing, lad?
All right, mate.
Jim Pixelovich says, Jim, I agree too. However, constantly playing players keeps them prominent for future moves for sale value. Only my opinion. Topsy T's popped in. Hello, Topsy. How are you doing? He says, good evening, gents, from the Irish Sea. He says, how's everybody this fine evening? We're fine. We're just a bit fed up with PV then. We've been having a crack on with that. And Jacob's been making a good point at the fact, like, if we did get to the Premier League, what do Sunderland need to do it properly?
That's what I think we need to do properly. I think you've noticed it, haven't you? Some of the teams who, like Brighton and Brentford, they were in the Championship for a long time. They've gone up and they've stabilised. However, there's teams who've not been in the Championship too long. They've got promoted, but they've gone back down again.
Yeah.
That just might be how it goes for us. We've got to be patient.
Would you say this season would be too early to go up?
It's our third season. I don't know.
I mean, it's not a bad league to be in the Championship, is it? It's better than League One, obviously.
Oh, aye. Better away days as well, Yeah. I'd rather play Stoke away than fucking Shrewsbury away or Fleetwood. Well, not Fleetwood, but it's like Stoke away. Preston, Norwich away is better, and it's just better stadiums, better, less depressing as well. But got to think to ourselves. There's worse teams to support into like Cambridge United or Burton Albion or something like that. Could be worse, couldn't it? So we've got to be grateful.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it will happen. We will be back in the Prem. It's going to happen, but we're just going to have to be patient.
So it's just a monumental task to get over that line, and because the gap's growing every single year, not just the top 6 or the top 7, even from fourth off bottom upwards, that gap is grown and grown and grown. I mean,
like, look how far we've come though, Cabby.
Massively, Jacob, massively.
Yeah, like 6 years ago, or even a bit longer than that, to now. Look how much we've progressed. We've got to be proud of that and go, do you know what? We're not in the rot now. Financially, we're fine. We're in a better position. Totally new era. Let's enjoy it. May not be in where we belong, but let's still enjoy it because we're on the up again. The good times are back, and it'll get even better. We've got to be happy for that.
I just look back at the Netflix program in the first 2 seasons, and then you look at us now and you realise, how far we've come.
I don't bother watching the first season anymore. If I watch it again, I just watch the second season and then, of course, third one because I've only watched the third one once. But yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
That first that Championship season 17-8. I just think Ellis Short should have sold the club after we got relegated from the Prem, and we could have got new owners. Then
there's a lot.
Relegated.
There's a lot.
There's a lot of ifs and hypotheticals, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely.
Ellis Short. Well, it was.
You know what? Though, honestly, I think we will go up this season. I get like people's opinions saying maybe it is too soon. I understand that. I get it. But to be back in the Premier League, whether we get relegated straight away again, it's special. Like, and yes, I get it. people's getting worried, or we're going to get thumped every week, because we've seen what's happened this season, the likes of like Southampton and Leicester and Wolves and teams like that. You know what I mean? But if we go to the Premier League, we've got to recruit right first and foremost. We've got to get the right players in, and I think there's maybe a handful of players that are playing now for that could actually do a job in the Premier League and actually grow if we stay up after a season into like Premier League status players. Where obviously what Sunderland tend to do is we're selling these players on to make the money, but to strengthen them as well. I think it would be unbelievable to be back in the Premier League.
Of course it would.
Just said, from where we've come from to actually reaching these heights again of being in the top league, it's special.
If we don't go up though, look how far we've come. Like, even if we don't go up, like, we still come.
Don't get us wrong, mate. If we don't go up this season, don't get us wrong, I will be gutted. But at the same time, I'll know next season we're going to be one of the strongest teams in the Championship next season, without question. And it just depends who leaves and who stays.
We've massively improved, haven't we, from December of 23 onwards? Second half of last season, and look at us now. So it's a massive improvement from the second half of last season. So we've got to be proud of that if we don't go up as well. Look, we've done much better than. There's lots of positives still to look at if we don't go up.
How many players, lads, would you say in our squad would be possibly good enough for the Premier League next season? How many players would you say is, and how many would you say absolutely no chance? We'll start with Isidore. Do you think he'd be worth a good crack at the Premier League? I think he will. He's the way he's finished.
Yeah.
I think he'll be a danger in the Premier League, Isidore, to be honest with you.
I still think we would need a striker, though. We would need an experienced striker. I still think we would.
I know who I'd like to buy if we go to Prem. I'd like to get Antonio Semenyo, who used to play for Sunderland as well. He was at Bournemouth. I'd have him.
We tried getting him. Before, haven't we?
Yeah, but Parkinson didn't play him a lot. Parkinson didn't play because he was with us in second season of League One. Parky didn't play him a lot, which doesn't surprise me because he's a stubborn git. Bill Parkinson. Don't want to get on a rant about him.
It's going to be obviously a massive step up. I mean, when we played Newcastle in the FA Cup last season, how far we got brushed aside, and the likes of Jack Clark was just totally out of his depth, and it looks like he is still with Ipswich and stuff. I mean, big step up for the likes of Chrissy Rigg in the Premier League. I mean, Christ almighty, when you look at the size of him and he's still developing, Chrissy Rigg could get eaten alive in the Premier League, couldn't he? He could just get gobbled up for seconds, like Chrissy Rigg. Patterson, do you think he'd cut it in the Prem? I don't think he would.
No, he's not good enough, Patterson. Not for Prem.
Not for the Premier League, but the way he's kicking and his distribution and he's commanding in the box, you've got to be a lot more alert than what he is being, hasn't he?
I'd have Jordan Pickford
back.
That would be mint, wouldn't it, having him back?
It's his birthday today, I think, isn't it? It's his birthday.
What, today?
And if he's in the...
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's his birthday today.
I wonder if he's in the Washington Social Club with Grealish tonight. You think he's back?
He's a Washington lad, isn't he? He's born and bred.
I think Fatfield somewhere he was.
That's where Labrie lives, isn't it? He lives in Washington.
He does, aye. Just kind of catch up on the chat as well. Pastor Alex says, my desk is full of letters and brochures. Maybe it's Pavida's P45 with a bit of luck. Or Tony Bribery's more like it. Jim N says, I don't think Christian Speakman would have bought Enzo Lafay if Isidore were without major input from Regis Labrie. So I think Regis Labrie does have a lot of influence, which is a good point. It's because of Regis Labrie we've got Lafay. John 73 says, I believe team interference was the reason Regis left France, so would he accept it if it was the same here? Don't think so. Jim N says, John, it wasn't team interference so much as is players being sold off. For readers, Steve Taylor says, I think only one relegated side out of the teams coming down this season. He says only Leicester he thinks will be a force in the Championship next season. There's a few fans as well thought like Southampton and Ipswich, they could possibly do a free fall like what Luton's doing, because they've, especially Ipswich, because they've gone all out and recruited and spent a fortune. And that, like Luton, it could hit Ipswich really hard coming back down, like of that high they've been, like. So we don't know. John Nesbitt says it's never too soon to get up. He says that league is awash with money. It can only be a good thing. Only my opinion, but I think the club will be sold to richer people. What do you think about that then? Do you think, as a few people have said that, if Sunderland got promoted, they were thinking like KLD will see the pound signs and get a hefty profit and sell the club. Best to sell the club when you're a Premier League club, innit? Do you think that could happen? I don't know.
Who knows?
When William Story buys it.
Remember, could get the Dell boys in, couldn't we? You know, the Dell boys who tried to buy us in League One. Michael Dell, who owned laptop company.
I know him.
They tried to buy us. I remember when they were trying to buy us.
He didn't want salmon pants back, do you?
Oh, fuck him, no. But no, Dell, Michael Dell, he's called, owner at Dell Laptops. Tried to buy us in lockdown.
Well, they were even shown round the stadium, weren't they? Under the Ellis short days? They were even shown round.
No, in the lockdown, during lockdown.
During the lockdown bit.
Yeah. I think, or a bit before then, but yeah, it were under. I think Stuart Donald showed them around, and
it was Stuart Donald, wasn't it, who showed them around? Of course, it was. That's right, yeah, because Ellis Shorts basically paid all the.
Norwich have just scored. Josh Sargent, I think. Oh no, it's offside.
It's offside.
Yeah, Sargent, he scored the first goal.
Good player, Sargent.
Oh, he is.
David Walker says Isidore has the pace to make it in the Premier League. I totally agree there. Pato, David says, has no chance. He's he's overrated. But there's a long way to go today. I was listening to what Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett was saying today, that the fact, like, until it's mathematically impossible for Sunderland to catch the top two is still on. He says whether you like it or not, you can't argue the fact that the top two is still on as long as the points are reachable. Maths tells you that it is.
There's someone at the local working men. Sorry to interrupt, but there's someone at Working Men's Club I go to. He's a Leeds fan, and he says I'm still not relaxed. You know, I don't want to get ahead of myself, and that's a Leeds fan. So
no. Well, he's right to think that. I mean, if I was in Leeds' position, yeah, it'd be a nice place, but I certainly wouldn't be saying to myself, "Oh, we're up." No way.
Well, they've got a game again. They're playing Portsmouth tomorrow, Leeds away at Fratton Park. So
that is not going to be an easy game for Leeds. That I don't care what anybody says.
A long journey, Leeds to bloody Portsmouth. Even Sunderland's a lot longer though, of course, but.
Sunderland have just got to keep doing their job. They've got to be professional. Don't
focus on ourselves. Yeah. Don't think about anyone else. Let's just. Yes, it's good for teams around us to drop points, but let's just focus on ourselves. Fuck everyone else. So we're Sunderland AFC. We don't give a fuck.
Don't think about that we've settled for the playoffs. You've got to play as if you're still going for the top two, because who knows, if we do win against Cardiff, you just don't know. One of the top 2 or 3 might slip up. Do you know what I mean? And we've got to give ourselves that fighting chance of bagging 3 points ourselves.
If it is going to be anyone, it's probably going to be Burnley, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And the 3 above us. It won't be Leeds or Sheffield. It's probably going to be Burnley. But to be fair, Burnley have got a good defence, so just the Championship, and it could go either way. You just don't know what's going to happen.
The only thing I think what Sunderland are massively up against it is, like, can you see Sunderland getting consecutive wins, like away West Brom and then away to Coventry City and this and that? It's like, you just say the word Coventry City and you want to hide behind the sofa, didn't you? It's like, that's the thing. Was 11 games left? Is there?
Yeah.
I would say Sunderland have got to win 9 of them to give themselves a fighting chance, a real good fighting chance of pushing for the top 2. And it sounds ridiculous saying that, but I would say that's realistically what Sunderland have to do. They'll have to win 9 out of them 11 games to really put the pressure on. But whether mentally they are prepared to do that, because have they already relegated themselves to thinking that we're in the playoffs, that's it? Other players thinking the top 2's gone.
That is, honestly, just echoing what Jacob's just said there. If I was Reggie, right, I wouldn't have outside noise coming in. I wouldn't have other teams' scores coming in, anything like this. I would ban it from the changing room, if anything.
I know.
And I would just say, that's it, lads. You know, it's in our hands. Do you want this or do you not? And, you know, at the end of the day, like you said, it's not mathematically impossible to get up there. It's just down to, do we want it enough as a team?
I know it's difficult when you're playing the next day. It's impossible to not know what the scores is, but certainly if everybody's kicking off the same time, like on a 3 o'clock kickoff, which is virtually, it just doesn't happen. You very, very rarely. How often do you get that all top 5 clubs in the Championship playing exactly 3 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday? I mean, when was the last time that happened? Hector's just popped into the chat. Hello, Hector. He says, Coventry fan here. He says, enjoying the chat. Cheers, lads. He says the winner of Coventry versus Sunderland wins promotion. Well, Hector, I put a post up on my channel the other day, and I think Coventry City's the dark horses to go up. If Coventry go to Wembley, they will get promoted. I'll guarantee you that.
He's come in and proven people wrong, hasn't he, Frank Lampard?
I do.
He's come in.
Just love to say that. Yeah.
They've come to the party late, Coventry. There's no pressure on them. They're enjoying themselves. And if Coventry got to the final, whether it would be against us, Burnley, or whatever, anybody else, I think they're going to have a really tough game. A really tough game at Wembley. Mentally, I think Coventry's got the advantage. I really do.
Yeah, mentally.
And that goes a long way. If you're mentally up for it, then they said it on Total Sports tonight. The third place is the worst position to finish in the playoffs. The third place, because you're the higher than everybody else, and your expectations is there, and the pressure's on you. Do you know what I mean? For somebody who's just slipped in the back door in the last minute and thought, hey, we're just going to join the playoff party. How are you doing? We'll just enjoy ourselves here. It goes a long way when you haven't got pressure. Like 73 final against Sunderland Leeds. The pressure was all on Leeds. The Sunderland team, the players just went up. They just turned up and enjoyed themselves. They were joking at the pre-dinner party at the hotel. They were all joking. They were telling jokes, having a laugh. Leeds United, they were like statues. They were stone cold. They were so serious. And mental up here goes a hell of a long way in big moments, in the big occasions. But like I say, I don't know. But it's just somebody says, Cabby, why'd you let Coventry City live rent free in your head? I says, like, well, it's not the fact like they're living rent free in your head. It's the more the fact like they are our bogey team, and we have got a rivalry for something that happened in the 70s. But, you know, Coventry always seem to get the upper hand. And you ask any Sunderland fan, any team that want to avoid in them playoffs is Coventry, and they will say that as well. Not being nasty towards Coventry, because I would rather play Burnley than play Coventry. Seriously, I would.
I think I'm beating Coventry in 5 years.
No? Look at that team when Coventry beat us 5. Well, no, look the time when Coventry beat us 5-4 at the Stadium of Light. We scored 4 goals and we still lost to them.
Yeah.
A crazy game under Stuart
Same,
Donald.
we haven't beaten Coventry in 5 years. It's been longer than that. Since 2020, we haven't beaten them.
No, even when we had cracking Ahmad Diallo, didn't we lose 3-1? Was it 3-1 or 2-1?
I think no, we lost away but drew at home.
Drew at
Coventry in that first season. Yeah.
Well, weren't we 3-0
at half time?
Weren't we 3-0 down?
2-0 at half time.
We lost either 3-0 or 3-1 or 2-1. It was one of the two because Ahmad Diallo scored a consolation goal and it was a rocket.
Yeah, that was first season at Championship under Mogger.
Yeah.
Ahmad Diallo scoring, but yeah, 3-0 last season under Beale. Beale's first game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Janet says, I'll go with that. I think you're on about with a promotion. Hector says, I watched it. And he also says, we were very concerned by Frank, but he's doing great. He says, and Hector says he would rather not have Burnley. Understandable. Burnley, they're not a pretty side, but they're bloody hard to beat. There's no ifs and buts about that. They're really solid to beat. John Nesbitt says, over 2 legs, no team will beat Sunderland. Simple as that. A one-off game, however, the final is a completely different ball game. And it is. That just one game at Wembley. It's a horrible game. It's a horrible game for anxiety, and it's great for the neutral, but if the fans are feeling it, goodness knows what the players are feeling it on there. Hector says also, he says, hope Burnley gets second. Sheffield United are beatable. Well, we've played them. We've played Burnley twice, right? They've never beat us. We beat them once, 1-0 at our patch, and we really should have beat them on their patch. You know, you get 2 penalties in the last 2 minutes of a game or so. And Sheffield United, we destroyed them at the Stadium of Light, even though the scoreline didn't say so. But we played them off the park. Not afraid of them. David Graham says Sunderland's next away game will be at Coventry tomorrow week at the Rioch. Coventry could win the playoff final on May the 24th if they get there. Who said Frank Lampard was a crap manager, eh? Says David Graham. John Nesbitt says, would just be a complete joke for a team 15 points behind third place team to reach the Premier League. And there's a lot of people say that, like, that's what's unfair about the playoffs. The third place team can be 30 points ahead of a 6th place team, but it doesn't matter when the playoffs start, does it?
No.
Have they got a point? Have they got a point for a team to be 30 points ahead of 6? Does it seem unfair?
It's what it is, isn't it? Just the way it rumbles. But like you say though, anybody can slip into it, and then there's no pressure coming on these teams that are coming in. There's more pressure on the likes of ourselves and Burnley and whoever, because we've been in this position all season.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in the playoffs, and I think it's just one of them where the form and the whatever it is goes out the window, because these 3 games are cup finals, and that's just the way they've got to be played. But it's certainly going to be interesting.
Hector says it's not fair for the top 3 to have 30 million extra either. And I think you're on about the parachute payments. I hear it's like why get rewarded to get relegated? And it does give them a massive head start, doesn't it, for the season back in the Championship? Well, to some it does, to Luton it hasn't, and for Sunderland it hasn't when they got relegated. So it doesn't always mean that you are, but it certainly does give you a fighting chance. David Walker says everybody knows the rules before the season starts. Points don't count in the playoffs. No, of course they don't. I remember when Sunderland played Swindon at Wembley back in the late 80s, and we lost 1-0, but Swindon got demoted because they made illegal payments to players. I don't know if you remember that, or if you know what I'm on about. The Gabby Dean
about it, yeah.
Yeah. We lost at Wembley 1-0, and it was for us to get to Wembley. We beat Newcastle 2-0 with Gates and
Eric
Gabbiadini
Gates, yeah.
with the blue strip. You must have seen it. Yeah, you have, Jacob.
Yeah,
you must have seen it, Rich. Have you?
Yeah.
St James's Park with the famous Gabbiadini 1-2 with Gates.
I've seen it on YouTube, yeah.
Aye.
Not at the time I wasn't born, but I have seen,
We drew 0-0 at this.
highlights.
I nearly said stadium. We drew 0-0 at Roker Park. I was at that game where John Burridge for Newcastle saved Paul Hardiman's penalty, and he ran up to Budgie's head and kicked him straight in the head just about, and he got sent off. And because Swindon got demoted, the FA decided that Sunderland would take Swindon's place. Now the Newcastle fans kicked off something rotten because they finished above us in the playoff places. But the FA were saying, well, Sunderland beat you fair and square in the playoffs. That doesn't give you the right to go up. That was the Newcastle's argument then, because they were ahead of Sunderland on points. But because we've already beat them in the playoffs, we've already done the job. I can see it from both sides. Do you know what I mean? But to be fair, Sunderland, I think, did deserve that because they beat them. They played them and they won.
Yeah. That's what it is, though. That's the way it works. You know what I mean? I can't remember who says in the chat, but he's spot on. You know what I mean? Every team knows the rules, and what happens, it doesn't matter how many points ahead you are, whatever it is. If you're in there, you know what I mean? You've earned it.
Yep. David Graham says, remember that over the years, not many teams who finish third go on to win the playoff final at Wembley. That's been mentioned a few times on a lot of radio stations, that as well. They've said tonight on Total Sport, the worst place to finish is third when you're going into the playoffs. Is it third place 6 in your knockout stages, and then the two middle in between play each other?
Yeah, that's right, mate.
I thought it was. David Walker says I was at Wembley that game, or the Swindon one. Yeah, I wasn't. I was at my caravan, but listening to it on the wireless at the time, we were awful. We got destroyed off Swindon. We were never in it from the first moment of kick-off. We were very poor that day. Swindon were deservedly winners, but they must have been gutted when they didn't go up. David says the Swindon manager that day was, of course, was Ozzy Ardiles as well. I remember it well. Yeah, Ozzy Ardiles was the manager for Swindon Town. John Nesbitt
We'll
says,
have to look this up.
oh God, it's mad. John Nesbitt says I was there. Great night. Pitch invasion as well. I think he's on about the Newcastle game playoffs. Right, we've got just like a minute left. It's gone quick. Let's go for predictions for the Cardiff City. Rich, do you want to fire away? What are you thinking?
I think I'll stick to me 3-1. I think Isidore will get one. I fancy, I don't know, Job or Dan Neil, can't keep my mind up. And I fancy Roberts, to get something. So maybe tomorrow he might, but I'll stick to me 3-1.
Jacob, what do you reckon?
Sticking to me, 2-0 win. I think Mayenda and Isidore to score.
I'm going to also go 2-0. I'm going to say it's Cardiff of similar calibre to Luton Town. I just don't think they're going to offer anything at all at the stadium alike. And I think, not saying we're going to walk it, we never do, but I'm going to go 2-0 and I'm going to go Isidore. And I'm going to go. Watson's going to come off the bench and get the second. Because I forgot to say, he is available to play tomorrow, by the way, Watson.
It's class having him back.
It is. I'm just going to catch up on the rest of the chat before we're gone. He says, David Walker says, we were very lucky to not get a right hammering. Yeah, it was only 1-0, David. But we're just not at the races then. Ollie Alexander says, my lineup is Pato, Hugh, Meffin, 09, Neil, Job, Mundell, Roberts, Isidore and Mayenda. And my prediction is 2-1 to Sunderland with Isidore and Mayenda scoring. Hector says 3, plays 6, 4 plays 5. Home game, last for the higher team. David Walker says 2-0. John Nesbitt says 3-0 or 1-0 to them. I predict the Hull, likewise. You're entitled to your opinion, John. You're entitled to say anything you want. Some fans say that a lot because we're playing the bottom of the leagueish team. We always struggle. Janet says, will you be sorry if Watson goes to Brighton? Yeah, there are, and Janet's gone 2-1 win as well for Sunderland. Yeah, I mean, there's Brighton. Like, are they going to try and go for Watson again in the summer transfer window? That's just something we'll just have to find out. You know, it's got to be a temptation for Watson. Simple as that. John says 3-1. Tricia Winstanley says 2-0. So I'll wrap it up, guys. Jacob, cheers for popping in. Good contribution tonight. Cheers, mate. Richie, thanks a lot. Have you enjoyed it? We've got Big Davey, like I say, coming back on Monday.
That'd be nice to see Davey.
So be prepared to put cotton wool in your ears. All right, lads.
Aye, no.
What you've got plans tonight, lads? Are you doing much?
Not much.
Nice.
Yeah, my parents and their friends have gone to Hungary. They've gone to Budapest. So
ooh, party time and all the chicks coming round, Jacob, eh?
No.
House party at Jacob's.
Yeah.
Pixel Richards just said 2-1 for me. He says we're struggling for clean sheets. I know. Oh well, cheers. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for popping in, Jacob and Rich. And enjoy your Friday night, whatever you're doing. Yeah. Catch you later.
FTM.
FTM. Right. Catch you later. Toodaloo.
See you later.
Toodaloo.
That's good night from me as well. Thanks everybody for tuning in on Friday. We do appreciate everybody's contribution. John Nesbitt says good night, lads. Long day tomorrow. Spot on. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your Friday.